This statue is not only one of the most dynamic statues of all time, it's one of the greatest battles of all time, Wolverine vs. Sabertooth. In fact, this statue is so amazing, I actually bought two. I mean, these guys are going at it so much that when assembling it, they ripped my shirt up. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, today on the Extreme channel, we're looking at this epic, custom, 1/4 scale diorama statue of Wolverine vs. Sabertooth. Now before we jump in, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, the COLDEST water bottle. You know, whenever I'm in an epic battle for my life like these two, I stay refreshed with the COLDEST water bottle. It keeps things cold for 36 to 100 hours. It comes in all shapes, colors, and sizes, and is honestly the best water bottle out there made. If you're interested more in this, check out the link in the description below. You can win a free one. There's also another link with a code where you can get a discount. On a serious note, guys, I absolutely do love this. I bought multiple ones. I use it all the time. If you really need something, check it out. It is definitely worth it. But today we're looking at this epic custom statue. Custom means it's a private unlicensed commission. And as I said in the intro, I actually love it so much I bought two of them because there's two versions. But we'll take a look at that in design because we're doing an extreme review today. We're going to look at all the different categories of the statue and see how it stacks up on the extreme scale. So if you're unfamiliar, Wolverine and Sabertooth are two Marvel mutants. That's right, they have mutant ability of superhuman healing. Depending what storyline you look at, they do have familial ties. Tiles? Did I say tiles? Ties. They have ties. They might have tiles. I mean, most people have tiles in their bathroom. We do. Do you have carpet in your bathroom? That shit is weird if you do. You need to pull that shit out.
That's what she said.
But anyway, I absolutely love Wolverine. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters, as he is with a lot of people. And Wolverine was always my brother's favorite. And whenever we played any kind of fantasy games, he would pick Wolverine. So, of course, I picked Sabertooth, which made me a huge fan of Sabertooth. In fact, some of my favorite X-Men statues are Wolverine and Sabertooth statues. I've done many countdowns before. Enough of that. Let's look at this amazing statue that has so many different display options. And as I said, may win the award for the most dynamic statue I've ever seen. It looks like a real moment frozen in time, which is what I love about it. All right, let's kick it off with concept of the statue, which is what makes it so amazing. On the bottom, you have a black subbase. It's kind of a museum style. I don't like this. I wish it would have all been the snow that they have on the bottom here. Now, I'm not a big fan of the paint on the snow, and we'll talk more about that later. However, it has a lot of ties to their origins. They're both from Canada, usually known for cold environments, and they are fighting out here in the woods. Very animalistic, very primordial. And as you move up, Sabertooth has this classic costume on. But not only that, but he is literally bending over like crazy. When we look at the unboxing and assembly, you're not going to believe how much he's bending over. It gives you that really big action, dynamic, frozen in time stance with Wolverine jumping on top of him. Not only is he jumping on top of him, but there is blood flying everywhere if you choose to display that. As I said, you have a few different options. They are both filled with rage, going toe-to-toe, and who's going to win? This is the epic battle. Nobody knows who's going to win. Generally, Sabertooth's a little bit stronger, but Wolverine obviously has adamantium or metal claws, which gives him a little bit of an edge. So they always go back and forth. No one ever seems to win. This is just two arch enemies going at it, trying to kill each other, even though they know they can't. So I love the concept on this, which is why I bought it. I think the concept is a 5 out of 5. As a spoiler for the later parts of the review, I think it's the best Wolverine vs. Sabertooth dio out there. Now let's talk about design, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. As I said, you have tons of different display options, but before we dive into that, here's the unboxing and assembly. See how big the boxes are here, and of course, like I told you, I ordered two. We'll talk more about that later. Here is the art box. Looks pretty cool. Standard custom black foam, and that had 2 layers inside of it. Here is the first layer. A lot of the switch out portraits and other pieces. And then the second layer had the body and the base.
Previously on X-Men.
So let's get dimensions for you. As you see, it is a big statue. It's 1/4 scale, meaning that a real-life version of these characters would be 4 times larger. But the base, depending on where you think the front is about 15 inches wide, which really isn't that much for a dio this big. And it's about 13 inches deep. Then the tallest part is probably Sabertooth's hand up here, or it could be Wolverine's elbow. A little bit, it's about 27 inches, 26 and a half, a little bit under that. So first of all, as you see, this is the brown suited Wolverine right here. But as I said, I also bought the yellow suited Wolverine. Here's a picture of that right here. It is actually still in the box. It was that bottom box that you saw during the unboxing and assembly. Now I bought 2 because I thought the concept was amazing, and with all the different switch outs we're going to look at, you can really do some really different stuff between the 2. However, my grandpa, who takes good care of me and I take good care of him, he asked if he could buy one off me. So I did tell him yes. I texted him today and told him that they actually are here in the X household. He hasn't responded yet. And if he changes his mind, I'm going to keep both because I like the statue that much. However, if he doesn't change his mind, it's a win-win. I actually get some money for the statue, and I save on space. But here are all the display options you have. First, Wolverine has 3 portraits. The first is this battle-damaged one, and we're going to look at each of these during the paint and sculpt because there's a lot to show. Next one is an uncowled one. Now, one thing you're going to notice is the paint job is really dark on this. I'm not a fan of that. I will probably never use this one. And then a normal cowled one where he is screaming. Sabertooth also has 3 portraits, very similar. One is a battle-damaged one. Another one where his mouth is open screaming but no battle damage. Probably my least favorite. And then the classic Victor Creed smirk. The blood is also optional to display. On Sabertooth's right hand, here it is. This is the blood he's pulling from Wolverine's back that's dripping off his claws. Or there's a different hand switch out that has none of the blood. Then on Wolverine's left hand, there's actually a blood trail that's not connected to his left hand, but it keys into Sabertooth. Or you can go without that blood trail. I think the blood really brings the statue to life. So I'm going to plan to display at least this one like that, or one of them. But really a lot of cool display options. So with design, with how dynamic it is, I think they pulled it off. So I also think I have to give the design a 5 out of 5. Now I don't think the paint and sculpt are going to get a 5 out of 5. There's some really good parts and then some parts that could have used some improvement. So let's take a look. Now first thing I want to look at are the portraits that are actually not on there. Starting with the non-bloodied ones. So here you have the Sabertooth. The skin is way too dark, and what's really interesting is it's noticeably different on some of the other portraits, and that goes the same for Wolverine. I like the expression, I like the rage, I think the teeth are done well. The hair also looks great, both the sculpt and the shading they used on it. But you see how his mutton chops are so much dirtier than the top of his hair. Not really digging that, not sure why they went in that direction. Whited out eyes, and I believe they're all whited out on Sabertooth and Wolverine as well. But yeah, I don't like the contrasted difference. Even his eyebrows look a little bit different than his mutton chops and compared to the top of his skin, or top of his hair, pardon me, and the skin is just way too dark. So here's the smirk smile, and this one I quite like. Still have some of that problem with the really dark skin. Even you can see the difference between his eyes, around his eyes, and down below they almost tried to paint in too much of the 5 o'clock shadow. But I love the expression. I think around the gums looks fantastic. The suit here looks great, tiny little detail. This is probably my second favorite portrait. And then we'll go to the battle damaged one. So here you have some of the shading problems that we just talked about, but you can't see it because these slashes through the face from Wolverine's claws look absolutely awesome. So I think that that's really the winner of the statue. Now, Wolverine's uncowled portrait here, again, look how dark the skin is. Way too dark. I'm also not a fan of the expression. And there's something about his eyes that are just really off. Too much blue in his hair as well. And I don't know if I'm digging the exact shape of his hair. This one is one that I will never display. I think his regular portrait, other than too dark a skin, is done really well, though. I like the scream aspect to it. Some nice detail in the actual cowl, the wrinkles, and even his tongue painted really well. And it is a little bit lighter on the skin, so not as bad as the other one. But this is kind of hard to see when it's up here. But again, his whole right side of the face is torn off. You see the blood and guts, and it's done incredibly well. Not only the paint, but the sculpt. The blood splatter has a little left to be wanting right there. And a few other negatives. I don't know how they would do this. I don't know if this dark red blood right here was the way to go. It looks okay from a distance, and I don't know a way to do it better, so it's hard for me to critique it. But the blood that they have coming out just looks a little strange. I like the concept of it, but it's very hard to execute. But let's start at the bottom and move up. I'm not a fan of the paint on the snow either. Looks almost a little too flat for me, and then the blood splatter on it, some of it's a little bit darker. The blood splatter looks better here, I think, than it does on his costume, but still a little bit to be desired. And some of the areas, the snow looks a little bit better where it's kind of bunched on. It looks really good on his boots. I think they did a really nice job showing that on their boots. What's interesting is there's no really footprints. I think it would have been cool if they sculpted in some footprints there. Now the log and rocks that they're on, you can't really see much of it, but they do look good. Sabertooth and Wolverine, as I said earlier, they're both a little bit bulky, but I like it. I like the costume a lot. Sabertooth has there's no texture on it other than the leather padded part, which looks nice. Almost bulging with muscles kind of everywhere you look, which I think fits Sabertooth really well. They went a little too much on Wolverine for that though. Now a lot of the muscles are in really awkward angles, but because look at the positions they're in. Now one thing with the brown one here, I haven't looked at the yellow one yet, but there's it's a very similar matching costume, so a lot of that kind of gets mixed in, and that's not a critique at all. I mean, they're trying to stay accurate to the characters. I like the main part of Sabertooth here. Some cool, intricate design in there. I think the colors chosen, you can either go white or dark. I think they did a nice job choosing something kind of in the middle with some grays. Same thing around his boots. But all the leather parts of the costume on both Wolverine and Sabertooth look great. A lot of good detail in the belt. The paint's really clean on this part of it. So here's Wolverine. Most of the hair, it looks like it's actually painted, sculpted in. I think they did a nice job. His biceps, just like everything else, is a little bit too bulky on Wolverine for me. See some veins and even a hint of blue. Sabertooth's hands are giant. Yeah, I think Wolverine's almost a little overscaled, but you don't want him to look too small either. I think he's just too bulky in this. So really, I think Wolverine and Sabertooth are fantastic, especially with these portraits. My big concerns, mostly with paint, are the base, and then some of the blood issues, and then some of those darkness on the other portraits. But otherwise, I really like this. It really pops. They did a nice job. So starting with the paint, the paint on the blood, I'm kind of talking about how it doesn't look like real blood, but I'm not sure how they could have done it better. The issues with the shades in the portraits and then the paint on the snow, I think I have to give the paint a 3 out of 5 on this piece, unfortunately. However, the sculpt I like much better. While I said it's a little bit bulky for me on the characters, I think it's still done really well, and I think the sculpt is a 4 out of 5 on this piece. Now value. So the brown Wolverine, they made 50 of these, and I may be mistaken, but I think on the yellow they made 30. They retail for $1,250, plus you had to pay about $400 shipping for those huge boxes. So you're about $1,600, $1,700 all in, but it is a die with 2 giant 1/4 scale characters in such a low edition size, and as I hinted to earlier, I think this is the best Wolverine Sabertooth statue out there. I think the value's damn good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 on the value. I think I could sell this tomorrow and make a profit. Unfortunately, with my grandpa, him and I have a deal. We never make profit off of each other. Because as Dom would say, it's all about family. So does this have the X factor? If you haven't figured out how these reviews work, the X factor is how much do I like this piece overall. You can tell I love this piece. Very happy with it. 5 out of 5 statue for me. He just looks fantastic. It's truly an epic work of art. And it looks a lot better in person than it does in some of the other pictures I've seen posted. Comment below other statues that look way better in person than they do in pictures or videos that you've actually seen. And I ask you to comment because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So thanks again so much, guys. If you like stuff like this, hit that subscribe button, that bell notification, so you can see me do this. I don't know why I'm doing this, but also hit the like button on the way out because it really, really helps me and I really appreciate it. I'm begging and doing this. Talk to you later. Take care.